Before we get started today, I just want to recognize our sponsors who help make today possible. Lois Mans with Farmers Insurance, Greg Mans with Upright Construction, Adam Dregge with Complete Realty Solutions, Jason Hudson, Red Maples Construction, and our newest vendor, Nate Tomlin with the Tomlin Heating and Air. If you guys know anybody who has a question about real estate that we could solve, please contact us here at Restore STL so we could talk. If you want to wake up, take control of your life, and use real estate effectively to build a purposeful future, please check out our upcoming arena programs. And now, today's episode of The Kevin DeRaghi Show. Hey, friends, it's Kevin DeRaghi. Welcome to The Kevin DeRaghi Show. It's awesome to have you here. Today, our guest is Assaf Leib. So here is a friend of ours, a friend of Jake's especially, that is out in the New York area. So New York State. He lives in a place called Newburgh. So this is, if you go up the Hudson a little bit from New York City is where he's at. So it is fun to see how people in a different territory look at real estate. So the houses there are different than the houses here. The history there is different than the history here. So for me to understand what he's doing, I have to think about little rural areas that have nice houses around St. Louis, because that's what I know. Asaf, his background is architecture, is design, and it's really cool to see his artwork flourish and a little bit of what he does. So he gave us a quick look at the house he's living in and all the fun stuff that kind of goes into that side of it. So we get to kind of see firsthand what his pros and cons are and how he's going through his own forging moment now and what he would do different. So, guys, let us jump in and have our conversation now. All right, friends, what a special day. Hey, it's Kevin DeRaghi. Welcome to the Kevin DeRaghi Show. And how do you know Jake, or you know him as Dan?
Jake used to live in New York City, and he was executive in Leap Designs. He helped me overview this entire business, dealing with many clients that we did the design build for them. So he was it was maybe about, I would say, 8 years ago or maybe 9 years ago, something like that. Yeah, so amazing person, qualities that you don't see every day, and I am lucky to keep in touch with Jake until today. So thank you for the connection, Jake.
Awesome. All right, so before we get there, so how and why did you get into real estate?
My approach was slowly going with my passion, doing something that I really like. Luckily, I really love architecture and design. I did it with like a lot of giving. It was seen by the client. The clients give good words to their neighbors or their friends, and I develop a clientele around doing a design build. After some years, I develop the confidence also to buy my own. And here comes your kind of niche. And then I become developer myself for my own. But I had my own experience in architecture and design really good. What I bring to the table to my own little small portfolio of real estate is the ability to see opportunities and good layout, and that brings the value of the property up. If I'm going to choose a beautiful backsplash in the kitchen, so maybe that's going to build the value that we're looking to do in a flip. It happened sometimes in 2017. I was ready to go into that first investment. It was a 4-family home.
And where are you living at?
I live in Newburgh, New York. It's
How
just like
close is that to the city?
it's 50 miles away from the city. I'm across from a Beacon station. Right across from me, there is the river. I can show you here. You can see the river over there. And
Oh,
that's the
cool.
Hudson. That's the Hudson River, and it's located in a beautiful location. This is another thing that happened to me, to find an amazing location like such as this. It's a old city. In 1776, Washington and Martha lived here. The battle Is not far away here on the Hudson, where a lot of history happened, and apparently a lot of wealth arrived here back in the 18th and also the 19th century. They were built here beautiful, beautiful mansions nearby the Hudson River, since the river was the main transportation to the city, to New York, and New York was developed back then too. So was a very good location. Things changed, obviously, in the revolution. When we had the industrial revolution, starting a different transportation, people start driving the car, having a different way to live, and everybody moved to the city. The Newburgh was kind of abandoned, become like a city that was, you know, declined in a way. And when I came here, I found a city that really rich and really beautiful, and the price is really affordable. So I thought, wow, is there is a chance that I'm going to see that this city is going to be built up nicely back again. I believed in it, and I go and I took the risk. So it's always a risk. It's a city. You guys can Google
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
Newburgh. Newburgh. Across from Newburgh, you have Beacon. Beacon is an amazing example of a city that wasn't such a successful, but then were clean. People bought beautiful little small homes, renovate them, fix them all. The main street become full of coffee shops and galleries, and they opened also the Museum of Art, big beautiful museum that brought a lot of creators to the area, and Beacon become beautiful and nice. And I hope that also Newburgh eventually gonna get a little bit more traffic. It's going to be filled with stores, and it's going to be a little bit developed, because there is room for development here. The streets are not super. The maintenance here is relatively poor because you don't have much money in these areas. So I kind of put myself into being one of those people that takes a risk on questionable neighborhood or town or city. And in this particular case, I bought enough. 2 years later, I saw like there is a two condemned homes. I bought them both, one near each other, and I fixed them, made it like a two family and two family. And then when I stabilized the rental, it was 2021, and money was cheap versus to today. The rates were kind of in the 3.5, 3.7. And I got 75% of the value of the property, and then I bought another one. So basically, this is kind of what we learn in the books, right? Do one, you take the money, you take another one. So, but as we know, things are not so easy all the time. Sometimes you're in a place in life where you doubt what is next, how to move. You're not always in a place where your cash flow is comfortable to renovate a building, because you need a lot of money for it. If I have a good year, yes, I can invest in the building, but if not, it's not happening.
So are you funding with your own money? Or are you using hard money or private lenders or
I start with my own money. Yes, that's
okay.
what I was trying to tell you at the very beginning. I don't know if it was on the record, but I am at a very you know, conservative, not building a much risk at the beginning. I worked very hard for maybe about 20 years until I really accumulate a saving of $120,000. But obviously, it took me a lot of time. And I put 20% down on a property that was in the neighborhood of $600,000.
Dang.
Yes, and then I got a mortgage. The rest of it, 80% was mortgage. And then I bought the building. That was almost 10 years ago. That was the very first investment.
And you did it as a buy and hold or a flip?
Buy and hold.
And then were you still actively doing your architecture and design work to primarily
Yes,
fund those? Okay.
Yes, yes, but a little bit less because I left the city and now I'm away from the city, so I'm doing it a little bit less. And that's actually was painful, like to me, like suddenly I don't have the funds like I used to.
Hmm.
So it's you need to find a balance. But I must admit that I kind of suffer from it in the last 2 years, not having a good cash flow to do the renovation I need. And now I'm seeking for a loan. And now I have a bunch of different options, which I'm considering them because I do want to do like a renovation on a big building. And that has a lot of options. It's a mixed use building. I want to fix it as in possibly like half commercial, like stores, and half like a residential, like an apartment. So I'm still in the searching what to do with it. This is the moment what I'm focusing on.
Have you looked into private lenders? Do you know what that is?
No, if you can tell me a little bit more about it, please.
So for me, when I learned that, it actually changed kind of how I buy houses completely. Usually, when you start, you think you need to have all the money yourself, kind of just like your start, right? And I've talked to some high powered agents, right? Agents who you see their names on the billboards and you're like, oh my gosh, this person's huge. And then you talk to them, you're like, hey, because I believe any agent should also be an investor, right? You're the first line in there. And during the conversations, they're like, oh, Kevin, we don't have that kind of money. We can't just buy these houses. And it's like, oh my gosh, no, it's not necessarily just your money buying it. Yes, sometimes you have to do that. But a lot of times I could go and say, all right, Betty, arbitrary Betty, right? Betty, I'm going to buy a house. Betty could have extra money in her accounts. It could be in a retirement. Like there's a way you could structure it, but we create a promissory note, right? I make her first position on a property. She doesn't have any input in this or this, but I buy the house for 100. It needs $50,000. It's worth 300. So I borrow the 150 from Betty. It goes straight to the title company. Title company disperses the money to me. So now I bought it in my name, typically restore, and I have the funds to rehab it, and she has a first position secured loan at whatever interest rate you guys agree upon. You could either get paid off all at the end or you can make monthly payments, whatever it is that is decided. There's no draw system unless you want to have one, but it's just a way that you can structure a loan from people where they have security, right? They have a first position loan lien on that property.
Let me ask you a question. What would be a scenario, if you can give me an example, for a property that is free of mortgage?
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's worth 1.5 million or 1.2 million or what you guys, what is this private lender scenario for that case?
Well, you have to find one that is large enough to be able to handle that. For something like that, you might have to go to somebody or like syndicate it where you bring in a handful of investors or something like that. Typically, you want to do one investor, right? Because then they have a first position. Sometimes you have a first and second if they don't have the funds, but it doesn't make sense to have three, four, five, etc. So what you might have to do is create mixed use commercial, right? 123 Maple or whatever it is. And here's the people throwing in, and that LLC owns the mortgage to it. That way, if you need a cash build of a million, right, for a $1.2 million property, but then they also want to know what the end game is. So I'm helping some friends here. Actually, Melanie Claiborne, who was one of our early guests on this show, she's now doing assisted living, right? The silver wave that's coming through, older, not large nursing home care units, but that intimate setting, right? So it takes a bunch of cash to put it forward, but the returns and the value, and think of it's like a room rental, so you're really maximizing the space of a large house because these people are paying a lot more and they get a lot more treatment, a lot more care. And people like us will come in and say, all right, I can't afford 600,000 or a million myself, but I could throw in 50 grand, I could throw in 100 grand, and I have a piece of what that pie looks like. So there's ways of structuring deals like that.
Mhm.
And I got people if you want to talk to them about some of this stuff,
What is the rate?
whatever makes sense for everybody. So typically when I borrow money, I usually pay 10%. And then 10 to 12% is roughly what we're looking at. I
Hmm.
know some people that go down as low as like 5 or 6, where they look at it as a more, they look at it as like a CD,
Hmm.
but it's secured by real estate instead of like the government or something.
Okay, interesting. You mentioned assisted living. One of the ideas that I wanted to to allocate the building to was the assisted living. So I'm familiar with the niche. I was looking long time into it. It does make a lot of sense when you have a good building for it, but what scares me a lot, it was actually the operational part.
You gotta find a partner like,
You have to run it with a bunch of good people that's going to give a very good service to the elderly that you have in the home. And this is where I was a little bit hesitating. And was afraid, like, if you don't have like the right, the right person there. So
so this is Melanie probably would be a key person there to chat with about this. But yeah, she found a operator to be able to run the nursing, like a skilled nurse, etc.
yeah, that's a key if you have an operator guy.
And it's usually somebody who has experience in one of the big box stores, but wants to do good.
Yes.
And then you have so much staff, and there's I've sat through several of her presentations, but it's one of those like, okay, there's a number of rooms, there's a number of staff that, after this number it's more profitable, but too much, then you got to get another person in there overnight, or like it's just solving that problem, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I am. I'm sure it's an amazing business.
Well, the other person, so obviously I use private lenders. That's my gig. But Amy Majorny, who also we had a guest here, she now travels around and teaches people how to do this. So she has conferences and things like that. So she was also a guest here, but I'm trying to think of what her company is. But yeah, she helps people raise money in that private sector. So banks could do so much. Hard money lenders are good. Partners are, they're cheaper, right? But they also take typically 50% of your deal. Hard money lenders want, usually it's like 2 or 3 points and, 12 to 15% and a monthly payment, et cetera. And they will only lend up to so much.
Hmm.
And that's where really the beauty is, when you start playing with the private money, it's whatever you guys agree upon.
Hmm.
Some people might want more, some people might want points, some people don't care. They just
Same.
want the returns. Just you look at the stock markets, right? Hey, how much is it going to be worth next week? I don't know, right? It could go up, it could go down.
Yeah, I believe that the best would be to do what you are best in and focus on the niche that you like. I, for example, for many years doing architecture and design, so what I'm really good at is providing a very good flow layout for any use. Typically, I do residential, but I did a bunch of different commercial, and I stopped doing it as much as I used to because I have a company. The name is Leap Designs. Leap Designs provide the whole process for clients, and this is how I kind of this is my work for many years. Suddenly, when I kind of wanted to move to become a real estate a landlord, and I was thinking like, okay, this is kind of where actually I found that not for me. It's not for everyone to be a landlord.
Hmm.
You're better off maybe just do a flip if you're good at doing design and you think you bring in a good value. But each and every one of us need to go through, different experiences and learning. Maybe you hold the building for a while, but then you sell it and you say, okay, you need some profit. What I'm doing with this profit, and leverage from your points of strength is better than doing something that you possibly think it's good, but it's not you. So I want to divide our field to people that buy and hold and buy and sell.
So what's interesting is we made a tool. So if you go to Kevin Duragi /tools, right? We have two snapshots, right? One is for your personal life, right? To just to see where you are in the life
Mhm.
balance, because there's There's a spiritual component, there's a love component, there's a money, there's a, there's all the different components of your life, right? Where are you? But then we also do that one for getting into real estate. Hey, you want to get into real estate? What do you got? Where are you starting? And there's three main areas, right? It's your own cash. And like in that, it's, hey, how much money do you have built up? Do you have good credit? Because some places need loans, some people need money. The second part is knowledge. Like, what do you know? Do you have a trade? Do you have a skill? Do you have a license? So, like in your case, design, architecture, like flow, like that's what you started with. And then the other one is network. Like, who do you know that knows this stuff? Who do you know that you could call to raise up blank? And that's kind of the other thing. And without trying, it sounds like you've already done that with what you had. But what I think people forget is starting a rental business, starting a wholesale business, starting a flipping, those are all different businesses. Hey friends, it's Kevin. I just want to say thank you to Greg Fans of Upright Construction. Greg does all my exteriors for siding, roofs, fascia, soffit, gutters, all that stuff. He is fantastic. He is on it. He works well with insurance. He works well with investors like me and homeowners. Highly personable, huge customer service. You're going to love him. Huge personality. So Greg said if you mention Kevin Duragi Show, that he'll knock off 10% of your labor bill. So how is that? That's fantastic. Greg is old school, so call or text Greg at 314-374-1343. And if you're going to do it upright. Back to the show. It is a little silly to think, hey, I'm going to do real estate. And now you're acting as an agent, you're a landlord, you're flipping. Well, you just started like
Yeah.
4 businesses.
Yeah.
One isn't the other. They help, but they're not, just because you have one doesn't mean you automatically have the other.
Right.
Property management sucks. It is.
Sucks. Yeah, you're dealing with people. Hot water is not coming. You have a window that doesn't open. You have an issue with like a neighbor that doesn't like the other neighbor that put him too much, I don't know, noise with this volume of music. You have nonsense that you sometimes need to deal with, and it's not easy at all. Sometimes you have someone that call asking to pay next month. You need also to be compassion, or maybe not. You have to make decisions what you're doing in this case. There is a lot in
So,
managing a property, because you also need to manage people.
and it all comes down to it. I just had, so I have a board member that helps in my business, and he was like, Kevin, how much time do you use in different sections of your business? And I was like, well, property management, it's not all that much. And I went through my calendar. I'm like, wait, I had to spend X time gathering
Yeah,
this. We had an eviction, so that takes time. There was some work to do on a couple properties, so that takes time. We just
yeah,
got ice not too long ago. You guys just had a crazy storm, but
yeah.
part of the ice came off and took off, like it ripped off an awning, which ripped off the side of a building. So I'm like,
Wow.
just okay, we got to fix this stuff.
Yeah, there's always something. Yeah,
So yeah, it gets very personal.
it does. Sometimes you feel like, oh, let me sell this building. What do I
Yeah,
need this
why am
issue?
I doing this? But then, like, I've watched, and I don't know your time in the industry yet, but some of the first houses I could have buy were in like my neighborhood growing up, and I could have bought one for like 76 and another for 79. And I remember making a big hoot and holler that the values of these were just over 100. It wasn't good enough for the amount of work done.
Mhm.
Well, those houses now are selling for like 365. And I'm like, you're a freaking idiot, Kevin.
I have such a similar story here in Newburgh. In 2019, you could buy something for 55,000 that needs a whole gut renovation. But yes, a year ago, I sold one for 380. But don't forget, I put also 200,000 in the renovation. So it cost me 50. I put almost 200. So 380 minus the 250, that was the real number, which is really good, I guess.
Hey, do you know a Scott Jelinek?
Not sure.
So he came up with this idea of a slow flip. So he hasn't been on the show yet, but he's slated to be on this year. But the idea of you buy it. So I did this concept on a couple of my houses, right? I bought it. I held on to it for many years. And then when that tenant moved out or when something happened, I turned around and sold it. And you just pick up the appreciation, even if it's 2 years, 5 years. And you're like,
Yeah.
geez, like you might have to repaint it or swap out a toilet or something, but for the most part, it's not a major fix.
I agree.
But then you just capture it's like owning a stock. It's literally housing stock.
Yes, it is. And it's a good stock. It's of 10%.
Well, and I'm thinking of your area there. So we had a guest actually out of New York City, Dr. Teresa Martin, and her story, like she was driving into work. She worked at the Twin Towers or right around it, and there's a lot of traffic. And she was talking about the bridges, right? And she has kids and stuff like that. And there was so much traffic, she just ended up turning around. But that's because the towers were struck. And if she would have crossed that river, she wouldn't have been able to get back with her kids because they shut it all down.
Hmm.
And then because of that, we don't know about it in the Midwest, but there wasn't a lot of work to do. It was cleanup work. And, she lost her business, which means she lost her job. She lost, all the stuff that was tied to that. And then that's why she got into like notes.
Hmm.
So like private lenders but you can buy notes, you could sell notes. It's a whole nother world of real estate investing. Like there's so many niches in this space.
Hmm.
So I once bought a church, and I bought it as a note. Like, so I bought it the church, I took it, created a note, right? And then I was selling the financing to somebody else.
Hmm.
And then there's buyers that just want to buy those things. So they'll buy it at 90% value. They need to have 3 on-time payments, and then you could structure and sell these to different markets. There's a whole world of this stuff.
Hmm.
Kind of crazy.
Can I use your platform to put my buildings on sale? Everything for sale. Everybody reach out to me. Not a problem.
Here you go. Well, this isn't normally what we talk about here.
Yeah, let me bring my portfolio. I'll bring it.
I'm like, well, here we go. Well, so we have an area. So we're in St. Louis here, but if you go down south and now really in a lot of the directions, we
Hmm.
go city, suburbs, and rural. We do that really fast here. Like in the rural areas, we have some small little towns, right? So St. Genevieve is what I'm thinking in my mind.
Hmm.
It's it's an old, like, French settlement, right? So it never really got large. Herman is another one, which was a German settlement. So they had vineyards, they have a small, really cute community, and now it's switched over to a lot of, like, the cute shopping, the go to a vineyard, get a Airbnb or VRBO or insert story there, right?
Yeah.
Have your bed and breakfast and, like, Cami and I,
Yeah.
my wife, like, we'd go down to these every so often just for a little retreat,
Hmm.
and that's what it sounds like you almost are there over in Newburgh.
The buildings here are very special. Most of them were built in 1890 in a very special way. You have a lot of details on the brick, slate roof. It's really a special buildings here. And because it used to be a mansion, it was divided to 4 apartments. So you have apartment on the top floor, apartment on the on the second floor, and then on the main floor there are basically two. Yeah, so this is kind of um, what happening with these beautiful big mansions in this area. They either split them to apartments, but once in the blue moon, you have one that is really a mansion like it used to be, and the person really lived there or not.
I lived in, North Carolina for several years, and one of the ones we did was it was a Federalist style building, right? So it was really boxy, but it had these 2 big ornate entrances, and they broke it into a 3 family, right? So main level, upstairs, and then downstairs had its own little area. We took
Mhm.
that, made it one big house again, and, we took it and turned it into like a mansion.
That's amazing. This is another amazing approach. Some people do that, taking it and bring it back to the original, restore it. That's another way to develop and improve the property.
So
Yeah.
is this a little bit of like a passion project for you since your love really is design and architecture, but I mean, living in a 3, 4-story mansion,
It's actually, I tell you what, I'm about to move from here to another property that I just bought. I just bought like some not so long ago, but I want to move there and do something like just like you mentioned, like live there and have a showroom and make my Lab Designs estate over there, and possibly have some other offices and other services in the building. But that's what I mentioned before, that I'm about to renovate something. So I bought like a it's a compound, three buildings. One of them is carriage house in the back. It's rented. The other one is a house, and another one is another house, and both of them in the size of this. So I either can do, for example, four family and four family, and I have eight family, and then the carriage house is a studio, or either I can live in the big house as is and do the other house as a big showroom.
Boy, you make this sound like, if you live in it, you could potentially get a owner financing, like a FHA owner financing type not owner financing, FHA loan because you're living there,
Yeah.
which usually gives you a lower interest rate. But man, you could turn that into like bed and breakfast or something like that. So short term rentals, whether or not you make one of those things into like a little breakfast place or not. If you don't want to run that, you could just lease that to somebody who has a passion for that. Like there's a lot of ways you could solve that puzzle.
Hmm. I'm trying to figure out this right now. So you're welcome to help me with this
Ah,
project. Yeah, I'm gonna give you a little bit of the things. This is the house.
lovely. Actually, that's really nice.
This is the carriage house, and this is the other house, and that's the carriage house.
Goodness, that's huge.
So it is big, a big property that needs a whole development, possibly some obviously financing to improve. Some sections need more improvements. I have an issue with the roof. I have issue with plumbing. There is a lot to do over there, but
One of our guests, Brian Housley, so
hmm
just he has a place in Marthasville, but he bought it was like the old general store, so very similar to what you're talking about there.
hmm
Bottom is like the bed and breakfast or, it's the cafe or, it's the kitchen, right?
hmm
Upstairs, he turned a couple of those into Airbnb or bed and breakfast. He bought the building next to it. That's another B&B,
B&B,
rental
yeah.
area, just kinda what you did, like that compound. He doesn't live there, but, by owning more, he actually dictates more of that section, right?
Where is located?
So it's Marthasville, which is if you know where St. Louis is, you go west a little bit
It's by
farther.
you guys. Yes, yes, yes.
Well, I mean, that's the stuff that I know.
hmm
I think you're my second or third person over in, the New York area,
hmm
which again is crazy for me to think. Like, I grew up with these opportunities all around me. Teresa was one
Yeah,
of the first ones to be like, "Yeah, when you live in a big city like New York, you can't just start by flipping a skyscraper. You gotta"
yeah.
they're buying in other smaller towns, which is kinda interesting perspective on this stuff.
And listen, I always have also the dream to build a big building in Manhattan. But until it's happening, I'll play with these small buildings here, which
Well,
are big for me. It's all relevant to. I mean, it's all
do you have any partners or people on your team?
No, I don't.
And I wonder if that would help you. And this is I'm gonna say this from my perspective is, I mean, you don't know my background, but I partnered with a bigger group and I was doing about 10 houses a month, right? So I had my project manager, office manager, and I had 3 crews, right? There was a lot of stress, right? There's a lot of overhead that goes with that. And when I was running like that, I was actually ending up I wasn't doing the things that I love, right? I do like swinging a hammer on my terms, right?
Mhm,
That's a key word, on my terms. Like, I like helping out. I love clean outs, right? I like going through the contents when we buy it. I like to meet the neighbors. I like to see the transformation, right? I like to
mhm.
do that. Doesn't mean I like to do all the things, right? But I like to
Yeah.
come in and be a part of it. When I actually scaled up, all of those things were taken from me. So all I got were the bad days, right? Hey, this broke. Oh, hey, this is wrong. Hey, this is wrong. Come fix this. I didn't get the fun days where you get to see this and you're having fun with the guys. Like, I didn't get that part.
Mhm,
It was all the stress, it was all the paying the bills and all the problems. And I'm like, wow, this kind of sucks.
mhm,
Now, from there, it's been what, 10 years or something like that. But now we're scaling back up. So it's like, okay, I can only do so much. And that's why I have experts like Jake. He's able to take some of this stuff and distribute the social medias and the coaching platforms and all those different things, right? That's not my sweet spot. Chris is able to systemize all of our process backend. So we could have three guys, but they do the same amount as, probably 10 other people, right? Because we're using our workflow efficiently. And now I have strategic vendors, right? Like the sponsors on the show are the people I actually use. So it's like, boom, hey, you do this, and it just makes our stuff flow so much easier.
Hmm.
Are you part of any masterminds or any groups or anything?
And no,
You're really just out there as a lone ranger, aren't you?
I am, yes. But it's funny you mention all of this network. I was actually start thinking to, like, for instance, when I mentioned before that I want to have like in the building like Leib Designs showroom, I was thinking to reach out to local vendors. For
Hmm.
example, someone that builds like furniture, benches, it's kitchen, vanity. I don't know, like for example, whatever you can have in the showroom. Um, that can possibly sell for the industry of a home and kind of have be part of it and be uh, like have them as a showroom, but also like if I do, for example, a kitchen design, so I schedule the kitchen, I can show them the kitchen, I can show them the vendor that we're using. So he has like a bunch of examples of cabinetry, and just like a regular showroom, like a big showroom that shows like a nice display. Obviously, it needs to be very narrowed down because then you kind of start more like branding yourself.
Hmm.
What do you put in your store? You know what I mean? If I just give you an example for fashion, are you putting just jeans and t-shirts? Or you gonna go for leather jackets and stuff like that? Are you putting like you reach out to a more expensive clientele with expensive brand names, or you're doing it with like a more affordable brand names, and then your store is like more has a little bit more traffic, possibly easier to buy, but you need to really sell a lot. I actually have more like the approach of reaching out to the more like a high-end clientele, I like to call it, that can afford the time that I'm going to put into this. And maybe it's going to be a little bit more on the expensive side, but I know that I'm bringing like a very well designed kitchen, very personalized. So that's kind of where I'm now thinking like to collaborate with other vendors, people that do even the work.
Hmm. All right. Well, you just need to get in the right room with people. So, Hudson Valley, how close is that to you?
I'm in the Hudson Valley.
Okay, so I just was searching Hudson Valley REIA. So the other one you could look up is like a Hudson Valley meetup or something like that. REIAs are like the Real Estate Investment Association. So like they're a nonprofit for real estate investors. And it looks like if you need to surround yourself with some people, here's a bunch of people. And it
Hmm.
looks like they have some live events together. I see coming up is Robin Thompson. Seen her speak a couple times. So, dude, there's some people right there to collaborate with,
Hmm.
and they're usually fairly inexpensive, maybe 100 or a couple $100 for membership for a year or something. But it could be something to kind of surround yourself with your colleagues.
The Hudson Valley, what is the name you said?
I have no affiliation here, but Hudson Valley REIA, REIA. So hv-ria.com is their website.
Oh, thank you. All right, sounds good. I'll look
Hey,
into this.
here to help. Again, this isn't normally how our show goes. But yeah. Well, laying out so the tool I do for this life talk, and what's interesting is I could tell you some of your answers here. Like, are you one of my strengths is I make friends incredibly fast. So whether I'm just walking through the grocery store, actually my wife doesn't even like me going grocery shopping anymore because one, I make friends everywhere I go. She doesn't like want me to go with her. She does because she just wants to shop and get out. I love it. Like there's so many people and I
Yes.
strike conversations and I make
You're a network person.
yeah, like that. It's put me in those situations. I enjoy it. I need it. Now, I think that you have a different skill set. I don't think that's what you run out and like doing. I think you like doing your job.
I actually not too far away from you. I'm a very, very social person, making friends very quickly. I just happen to be a solist on the work part, but it's not true. I'm looking to collaborate and do it with others. It's just like didn't happen as of yet. But I don't do my work by myself. I collaborate with other professions when I do design build. When I do design build, I basically prepare the blueprint. I'm the vision. I'm doing the vision. I have the whole package. I do the electrical plan. By the way, I can offer you just to remember for the future, if you ever have a challenge about a layout, I'm here to help. That's my forte, layout, breaking up. I mean, creating a good flow within a space, even if it's a small apartment, big house, combination apartment. Sometimes you have a challenge of how to combine it. You want to do addition to the house, how to combine it. There's a lot of places where I can be because I have a lot of experience within the structural engineering and understanding the cost of the labor and all of the the package, including not only understanding the cost, also understanding layout, understanding what is design, what looks good, and what serves you well. There's a lot of decisions to make a good decision if to locate your kitchen on the front of the house or in the back of the house or the living room, vice versa, or to put the bedrooms there or here, or one there and one there. Like, you want to separate them maybe. There's a lot of different challenges that arising when you do the design, because I always pitching, it's most important to put attention where you put the money, because regardless you're going to do the renovation, right? If you do a flip or you're buying to fix something, if you want to create a value and you're already into do a little small change in the apartment or in the house, you better off think about it really before you put the money, because when you put the money, it's done.
Hey friends, it's Kevin. I want to talk about one of my friends. We go way back, all the way back to episode 17, Adam Dreggy, CRS Realty, or Complete Realty Services. So I am so proud of Adam and his team. Like, they've created this wonderful world of agents and property managers. They handled a bunch of my rentals. They do a great job. They communicate. They're honest. They can just take care of things. So if you're looking at building your portfolio, whether it's as an agent, whether it's managing your portfolio, I cannot tell you that they are fantastic anymore. Like, they do a great job. And I'm so proud of Adam and what he's done with his team. So guys, give him a holler at 314-325-8328. All right, now let's get back to the conversation.
You're not going to do a change anymore. I hope what I'm trying to say is, like, when you have, for example, a renovation of a kitchen or a bathroom, you're renovating the kitchen. Regardless, you're going to spend, let's just throw a number, $30,000 basic, okay? This is a lot of money, $30,000. If I tell you the same kitchen, you could actually put in this little room, because you have a house, it's easy to maneuver the pipes below, and then your kitchen become actually the other room, and then you see that everything works well for you, but you never even thought about relocate your kitchen. But this relocation can add so much to your property, possibly. I'm just like throwing scenario of, like, can be the case with a bathroom, that you can say, okay, I'm going to put $20,000. Regardless, you're going to put the $20,000, you can put them in a different place. Possibly that's going to open you a space that you really wanted, and you don't even see it, because your brain understands this is the kitchen, this is the bathroom, that's the bedroom, this is the living room, done. I'm coming from a place that I understand the structure. I understand that if you flip the side of the plumbing, the other side is the bedroom, so it doesn't really make a big difference, not for the plumber, not for the labor. It's just using a different space. But by doing that, you can really create beauty, refreshment, updating, making it more up to date to the needs of today's lifestyle. If you're dealing with a home that was built possibly in the 1950s, it was a different layout, different location. So yeah, just wanted to share that I believe that my forte is more in that area of how to break down apartment. I do it very quick. I can kind of see it in the phone and answer the question. I can sketch it really quick. Something that people today, you see the white hair here and there. It's because of years of experience. I'm now having many years of seeing. I'm coming to a location of a home and I sketch it right away with kind of a sense of proportion without computer. I'm not putting it on CAD. Just like I draw quick. Those people that draw you quickly on the street on Broadway.
Yeah.
In 10 minutes they draw you. In 10 minutes I draw your home, your kitchen, your living room, your sofa. I draw it so you can kind of relate to where you are, and it gives people a little bit help on to make a decision on what's the vision going to be, what's the layout going to end up.
So your insight on houses, right? So
Yep.
it makes me think that you have really an artistic side in your brain there based on the, like the left right scenario. But does that, so A, that helps you with seeing houses and whatnot. Does it help you see like relationships or like outside the box thinking? Do you use that on any other personal stuff? Or is it just, do you see it only in structures?
Only in the structure, unfortunately. I don't see it
Really?
in other, just in homes. I see it only in homes. Yeah.
Well, because it really what you're telling me really is it's an artist's view, right? And that's where, gosh, his name, I forget his book, but it was a great book, but it's all about like he was a master chess player and then he switched over and he applied what he learned in chess to other things, right? Once you're an expert in one, you could take those concepts and apply it to another trade. And
Mhm.
that's what he talks about is these things that, hey, I learned this, but it's because of that methodology, I could come into this different world, but I could apply the same things. And that's what I did with some of my coaches, right? Some of their advice was to help me become a better um, person or whatever, but or business person. And I took that and applied it to how can I be a better husband? How can I be a better aware father? How can I be a better business owner? And I was like, well, this was the technique applied over here, but what if I applied it to all these personal things? I didn't think I was a great dad, but then I started applying these and I started looking at other people who I thought were great dads and I surrounded myself with them and I started mimicking what they're doing. And now other kids are like wanting to be around me. Like it's cool when my kids' friends come over. Like, yes, they want to go hang out with my kids, but they're also like, can we talk to your dad a little bit more? It's like, yes, it's the little things sometimes. But yeah, a lot of that crossover is pretty cool. So one question that we do, so we did an episode last year about Eads Bridge, which is a structural bridge here in St. Louis, and it's actually the core of what the book we're writing is right now, Jake and I, etc. But it breaks down to three main points: dream, forge, finish. So it was a vision, right? It was a dream of connecting East and West, and it ended up being the railroad. So it was entrepreneurs that actually made this dream happen. But there was this massive river called the Mississippi, right, right next to us, and they needed a bridge. It needed to be so tall. It was so wide. They had all this stuff, and the building materials at that time were iron. It was brick and it was wood, and those materials just couldn't do it. Right? They just couldn't make the bridge. What had to happen was the forging moment, what turns iron into steel. So it's a lot of heat. You have to get it so hot. You have to take out impurities and you have to put in additives, right? Simplified version of what the forging process is, but that's in effect what happens. Let's say that in entrepreneur terms, it's creating the healthy habits of success, right? Being a successful person now, you're different from when you started, right? It's the white hairs, right? It's these wisdom streaks. And they don't come just from all the good days. They come from the bad days where you're like, right? Call it the heat, call it the pressure, call it the timeline, letting your word, let your yes be yes and your no be no. And how do you stand up for this stuff and honor yourself and others? That's it. And then the last part is finish, right? A half finished bridge doesn't get you across the river. That said, what would be a forging moment for you? Like, what was a crucible moment that the old version of you just couldn't do it, but the new side, or, like, hey, when I'm not just going to do it for other people, I'm now going to buy my own houses. I'm gonna buy the more expensive one. I'm gonna buy a compound. Like, these are forging moments. Like, what is a personal or professional forging moment for you?
I feel like we have, I mean, it's consistent. There is always one. I feel like I'm in the middle of one. There is always
It
that
sounded like
stage.
it, yeah.
There is always that stage that you feel like you have to come up with some kind of improvement and make a plan for the future. We have every year we are doing like our like goals, and we're putting like, hey, what I had tough time. I mentioned before, like being a landlord, possibly not super meeting my personality. Maybe I'm too artistic and soft and nice and friendly to become and I don't know how to separate being the landlord and being also like a friend. So the friend lord doesn't work so good. Doesn't I'm not recommending.
Is that
You
what you call
learn.
it? A friend lord? I've never heard that.
So yeah, yeah. I mean, you want to be a friend. You also a landlord.
Yeah.
You're a friend lord, but it's not. It's not. I'm not recommending. So that's kind of a place where I can say, you know what, you have to, unless you know how to separate and be firm like when you need to, but it's not a skill that every person has. So each and every one of us need to know where he is doing his best. I, for instance, thinking that for me personally, it would be better to have a management company, and then I can be friend with the tenant. But another recommendation is when you are a landlord and you have a management company, you don't need even to mention to the tenants that you are the landlord. You can just be friends with them, hear what they say about the landlord. You know, I mean, I believe that for most people, the best would be is to take a management company and just be investors in this field. I personally doing it different, and it's very hard for me to learn the lesson because I dealt with some evictions, and it wasn't easy. It can take months and sometimes 6 months and even a year,
Mm.
because you can get a person that trick you, telling you, oh, listen, I have a situation, please help me, but he's actually not planning to help you. He's just buying time. He knows that eventually you're going to go to court, and in the court he's going to get another 3-4 months. So this is how you end up with almost like double of it. But you learn it exists. Sometimes find a way to abuse landlord. It's not personal to you. They just don't have the money, and they're just like riding on this case of what, you know. And so, yeah, it's complex, not
Right.
easy, never
And
easy.
well, never easy, but, if it was, everybody else would jump into this. And now, what advice would you give a younger self? So, you moved out of the big city, you started apparently some massive rehabs there. Like, would you do it the same way? Would you do
Yeah, I
something
would, I would actually, for my young self, would listen to people like Kevin, like yourself.
different?
I mean, learn how to use private lender and hard money. Do not be afraid of it. I could have done so many projects so much before, like much before I started. So yeah, this is definitely something that I could have recommend myself if I could 20 years ago. I could stand now with you with a portfolio of was most likely 200 homes, and not
Uh,
five, you know?
I don't have 200. Well, it doesn't fit
No,
my vision.
but you're most likely much younger than me, so I'm
Thank
saying.
you for that. I
Yeah, yeah.
don't quite
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that, but that's awesome.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you.
So, is there, any final words or wisdom you wanna share the general population?
Sounds like you guys doing amazing. I wish you all the best and good luck with the book and good luck with all the amazing guests that you bring in here. Thank you for the honor of putting me on the as your guest in this podcasting. And thank you. I mean, feel free to contact anytime.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for jumping on.
Thanks
I
so much.
appreciate it. I love the little niche that you're in up there. Man,
Thank
I love the fact that you're living in history, like the houses, the neighborhoods. because I'm a huge history buff. And then just like seeing it, like Hudson to me, I think of all these things that happened on the Hudson. I've never been there,
Kevin, you're welcome to visit. I have lots of rooms here. You and your wife and the
lots of
kids
room.
and the friends of the kids can come in.
Be
Um,
careful. I got bunches of them.
yeah, okay, not a problem. There is a lot of space for you all. So
That's awesome.
thanks so much.
Cool. Thank you
Okay.
so much for being in here. I appreciate it. How fun is this? All right. So that was a little bit different than our normal conversations, but you know what? That's the fun part of this. I like that we do have structure, but we could also go any direction that sometimes this goes. So what I thought was interesting is when we use those tools, right? If you go to Kevin Duragi /tools, we have that real estate snapshot. And if we take a look and we kind of overlay some of what we heard here from Asaf, that like different parts, like his trade. So his benefit really is being able to see form and function and not being stuck in a traditional layout of a house. Hey, what wall can I take out if I move a kitchen or a bathroom from one side to the other side? It doesn't change the numbers all that much, but if it creates a much better flow or living space, then it sounds like something we should do, which is kind of fascinating. I also like knowing like he started with his own money, he started with his own stuff. He did a lot of this stuff himself. And it was just like, oh my gosh, he just buckled down and worked hard, right? He worked hard until he built up $120,000 to be able to jump out and start his first rehabs. So the idea of what private lenders or basically partnering or borrowing or leveraging in different ways, right? In win-win-win scenarios really could speed up or grow what it is that he's doing. His fortune moment, well, I thought was fascinating is he's in one right now, looking at this compound, looking at all the stuff he built. And one of the things that he is kind of doing right now is he's got some rentals. And he used a term I've never heard before, friend lord, right? Instead of landlord, a friend lord. And I would say I know all of my tenants well. I used to have management companies. Adam Draghi CRS is one of them, and Jason Hudson actually they have a management company as well. So I'm friends with a lot of management companies, but I have now that have been selling off my rentals, I have less, and I've been using more of these just self managing because they already know who I am. But yeah, I do see myself becoming a friend lord, as he says. But it is interesting. Like, okay, that is good to a certain point. We could be lenient to a certain point, but what happens when I have to go to landlord, and it's time to hatch it or like, hey, this isn't acceptable anymore. So pros and cons of being a friend with your tenants. One of the key things he said, hey, if I could do it again, get a mentor, get a coach, get somebody who's been there. And the other one he said is I would learn a little bit more about this private lending world, right? Learning how to structure a deal outside the box, right? He could do it physically inside the box, but he needs to learn a little bit more of how to structure some deals outside the box with creative financing with the private lending world. So, guys, what a fun conversation here, especially in a beautiful area up there on the Hudson. Asaf, thank you for jumping on. I appreciate you, and we will see you guys next time.
Hey friends, this is Kevin. For more information for our vendors, just go to our link tree or any of these little clicks here. You could get it. I'm going to finish you off with some positive affirmations so you could get ready for your day. I am a leader. I make a difference. I add value. My words have power. I know God and He loves me. I am a leader. I raise people up, not tear them down. Today is my best day. I change lives. I live abundantly. I am a money magnet. I am alive, and I am a force for good. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day, and remember, dream big, act accordingly.